Historia, somebody else?
Corey Peter.
Hi there.
Oh, Peter, Tori,
It's getting a little nervous that I had the wrong link. Glad to see everyone.
This is good.
so we're gonna have Historia, Peter,
Yeah, and us,
and no Bruce.
Bruce.
We should begin. Hey, Peter, Tori,
There.
so we're missing Bruce. Hopefully I sent Lynette the agenda we should have last. So I have Lyndon, Allen, and Bradley and myself in the room. Tori, would you mind putting up the agenda? Please, thank you.
Legible?
Yeah, thank you. So the kind of the usual suspects on the agenda and Peter's gonna be doing a lion's share as far as the updates on the design permitting. And we have a lot of mailings going out to village residents that will get an update from, we had a meeting about the landowner easements with the town's lawyer a couple of weeks ago. And then yeah, we're going to be postponing the school board meeting until August. We don't meet in July. And the grant and outreach updates. But and can we start with last month's minutes, Tori?
Sure.
Thank you.
She's not here. She's going home.
Was that number 6 correct, Tori? Meeting was postponed until, should that be, August?
Yeah, I can
Yeah, I
change
was-
that to August.
Oh, yeah, right, June or August, yeah.
Well,
They're not meeting in July.
the mid,
Yeah, as of last month, we weren't sure if we'd meet in June or not.
Okay.
And I don't,
that's what we said.
Okay.
yeah, we
So,
may
That's what
not
we
have known
said.
that they
Even
were,
though it might be wrong, that's what we said. That's what.
yeah, I think that's true. And we weren't sure if they didn't have a July meeting.
okay. Okay, how do we look? Anybody, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? We have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, comments, corrections? Having none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Tori. Peter, the floor is yours.
All right. Let's see. On the survey end, latitude surveying's been out there several times over the last month or so, and we have gotten an updated base map. We're incorporating that into our 60% designs and putting some finishing touches on those plans. That's all coming together pretty well. We're also working hard to wrap up the specifications that will go with the 60% plans, and hoping that all comes together in the next week or so. We are also developing our final engineering services agreement, and we're planning to have a brief meeting with Lynette just to kind of go over it this week, and then if everything's looking good with her, we'll be hopefully sending something on to the town to be reviewing. Amy was out there last week and did some resampling of the school's well. I think she's going to be out again tomorrow, meeting with the geologist who's doing the down borehole testing next week to kind of do some preliminary setup work. That's still scheduled for next week and is one of the critical pieces of sort of our investigations. Amy and I met with Jeff Hoffer, our hydrogeologist, and I think we concluded that we really need to be doing some additional borings up in the disposal field area, and that we didn't want to wait for this borehole information to start getting that lined up. The goal and what we don't really know is we have a pretty good handle on where the bedrock surface is, but there's a very thick sand layer, as everyone knows, but we don't know is the depth and thickness of a till layer in between the sand and the bedrock. And we're feeling like we need some more information on that to help inform our hydrogeologic study and everything we're kind of pulling together for the school. So we've reached out to a couple of drillers, and we're kind of in the works for setting that up. I think probably late July or early August. And we're kind of still working out some of the details of exactly what that might look like with Jeff Hoffer.
So would we know the results shortly thereafter? The
Yeah,
borings?
that's the hope, is that we can. I think my hunch. I mean, you never really know with geology, but my hunch is that the results will be somewhat immediate. That will, as we're doing the drilling, we're going to be getting the information we need. So once the fieldwork's actually done, there'll certainly be a little bit of time to process it, but hopefully we're pretty close at that point to having all the data.
Would we be able to have results by the next school board meeting, which I think is on August 20th?
Yeah, I can't make any promises on that, but yeah, that's most definitely the goal. Yeah.
And so why does the school need to know all this information?
The school, so when we met with the school to get permission to essentially have the system up there and to grant the easement, there were just I guess the biggest resonating concern was that the wastewater system doesn't impact their drilled well and their water supply. And so there's two pieces to it. We need to do this work anyway, because we need to convince DEC and the indirect discharge program that we are adequately protecting that well also. But then in addition to that, there was, pretty significant discussions at the school board level. That I think in general, everyone was okay with it, but they wanted some assurances that that well would be protected and not a problem in the future. So that's where we're trying to demonstrate that the wastewater isn't, heading in that direction per se. Archaeology is we are moving forward with the phase 1 investigations of a handful of properties, and I believe he's going to be out there this week. And Alex has been helping coordinate with those landowners so that everyone's on the same page with that. And then Amy is starting to pull together, or is pulling together all these environmental and other investigation pieces that go into the environmental interest document, which is one of the pieces that Lynette and the folks at the Water Investment Division will need. So it's all moving forward in a good way.
And Peter, so we're at 60% now in the design, 90s next? And
Correct, yeah.
When is that roughly, when does DEC want that?
We are shooting to hopefully have them reviewing the 60% in, say, July, and then we'll be at the same time we can already be advancing some of the 90% stuff and waiting for their comments. And then I think we're figuring that in August we'll be pulling together, the 90% plans and all of the applications and everything for DEC. One other update I forgot to mention. We did get from our environmental sub or wetlands biologist and wildlife biologist. I don't know if I had this update last month or if it came in the last month, but we've gotten a report on the rare, threatened, and endangered species, and the bats evaluation. She had an older plan that didn't quite show our final route of the forest main up to the school. So I think she has one more visit to go out there and just kind of take a look at that.
Okay.
Would we be cutting trees? Is that why we have to have the back thing?
There may be some trees that need to be cut just to make sure that we have, you don't want any trees too close to the forest main. In general, my assessment of that swath is there aren't that many. but yes, and it's kind of a part of the federal evaluation is,
Yeah, I know, I have to do it for my bio.
and there will actually, I'm gonna backstep on my answer a little bit too. There are very few trees that have to be cut along the road as you head down, but there are a lot of trees that need to be cut as we make that last stretch up the hillside towards the ball field and
Yeah.
where the disposal field to be. So that area in particular she needs to look at. If the timing works out, there are time periods. I think it's October to April where you can the bats aren't actually roosting.
Yeah, April 15th is your deadline.
Right. So we'll see how it all plays out, but maybe that could happen beforehand.
So that would have to happen, one of the first things out the gate in next season's construction, right?
Yeah, I'll have to, once we get her final report, we can see if that's even necessary. I have a hunch that it's not going to be a problem, but.
Peter, I don't know, do you guys have the latest tally? It's one of our agenda items on, we had a lot of back and forth with village residents, and we had a separate meeting a couple weeks ago about the easements and I know Belinda has sent me several opt-out letters have come in. Do we have the latest greatest tally? And I know you emailed the Hummels today, I think it was, and that email about the question of can you just kind of cover all of that, especially the Hummel property? And then I know we had Allison Hayes and Laporte
Yeah,
as an opt-out, and the update on spring versus well and the proximity and the opt-out and the other folks that have opted out.
yeah. I apologize. I didn't get together with Alex to get an updated spreadsheet, but my understanding is there aren't any really drastic changes in any of the responses that are coming in. We've had a couple confirm that they, in fact, want to opt out. Folks that we sent the follow-up letter to did get back to us and say that they legitimately want to opt out.
The latest tally was we had 5 that opted out or tried to opt out, and do we now have 3 that met the opt out and 2 that did not? Is that the latest?
I think that's right. It flip-flopped when we found out that the Hayes property has a spring, presumably outside of the well shield.
Did you talk to them or did Alex talk to them?
I don't know if either of us did. I definitely didn't. I may have talked to them way back in the kind of the informational sessions. There were some of the folks that came up and talked to me, but
okay, you haven't talked to them recently.
I thought they emailed you, Jim.
That was Hummel. But so Hayes and Laporte, that's one property.
Yeah,
they're the ones, Elmore Pond Brook, where that comes in next to MSI.
yeah.
So they were very insistent that they're going to opt out, and they thought they met the opt-out criteria. And I told them that but one of the reasons they didn't is because of the wellhead protection, and they insisted that it was a spring, and no one contacted them about that. And so they meet the opt-out criteria. I did say, even though they meet the opt-out criteria, that if their system fails, they would still be required to hook up at their own cost, and that's something we've been consistently saying. Even if they meet the opt-out criteria, whether they meet it or not, if their system fails in the future, they'll be required to hook up at their own cost, right? We're being consistent about that as far as the ordinance goes.
Correct. Yep.
Okay,
Um,
I'm looking around the room here too, and I just want to make sure we're all, that's our consistent, what we're consistently saying, right? Whether you meet the opt-out or not, if your system fails, it's on your dime to hook up,
right.
okay? There seems a little hesitancy, and are we all on the same page with that?
Yeah, yeah, it's right in there.
Okay, so they were, and I initially told them they were out of compliance. They said, what, they did not like the harsh language in the letter that said that they were out of compliance. And I said, well, you are technically out of compliance if you didn't meet the opt-out criteria. And then we figured out that they did meet it. So they were not happy with the language, the tone of the letter.
Well, they haven't been happy all along, so.
Peter, would you mind just going over the Hummel parcel? So again,
Yeah, let's finish with that one first, though.
Okay.
I could think what would be great for us would be, and I guess, I don't know if, I think maybe we thought that you would reach out to them with this request, Jim, but it could be us certainly. It would be great if we could just meet with them and have them show us where the spring is and have us get a GPS location of that spring so we know. And or if they want to get us those coordinates and just give it to us, that'd probably work as well. Maybe verify that whatever ends up on our map is right. And then once we have that information, we can say, yeah, that makes sense that you opt out. You know, because otherwise we don't really know where their spring is and whether or not maybe it's still too close to their wastewater system or something.
I think they're gonna opt out no matter what, whether they meet the criteria or not, they're gonna choose to opt out.
Okay. So maybe it
They're
doesn't
very,
matter.
very adamant about that.
Yeah. Okay. So it probably
So-
doesn't really matter then. It's really whether or not they're in compliance or not, which if there's not going to be any action against them, then it probably doesn't matter.
And can you go over the Hummel, about the proximity
so-
of their,
Their big concern was that I'm not sure they were aware that we ended up moving the system-wide force main from one side of the road to the other. But their big concern was that the force main that we were going to need to install on their property was within the 50 feet of the well, like quite close. I don't know exactly what the distance is, but 10 or 15 feet away. And so I just wrote them an email today. I'm sorry, it took a little while to get that out. We had a couple different iterations of it internally. But the email pretty much explained how this is going to be a much better scenario for them from a protection of the well standpoint. And the reason for that is their leach field is directly uphill of their existing drilled well. So it's all kind of well, no pun intended, well within the well shield. And that's actual wastewater that is going into the ground and could actually make it into their well, versus what they're worried about are force mains that will be pressure tested and sealed and also sleeved in case there is ever a leak. So, and it kind of also explained in the email that that's pretty standard procedure and that, DEC would be on board with this.
so, have you heard back from that email?
I don't believe so, but as you saw, it was just today. So just look real quick. And I offered to meet or talk with them. I'm hoping that, maybe we can get them to come around. Yeah, I didn't get a response today yet.
Okay, well, it certainly makes sense that at least from a water quality, their own water quality perspective, that they should hook up. So the other property was the Davis property. And they opted out, and I'm trying to read they had in the notes section. Mm. It is the town's understanding that your property meets the opt-out criteria in the adopted wastewater, so their property meets, okay, right? They check the no, we're gonna opt out. Davis,
Right.
so that, do we know if they do in fact meet?
I'll have to double check that, but I believe that's the case.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm going through my ones that Belinda sent just in the last week or so. And then, so we have that exchange with the Hummels, we have the Davis, and then we have Laporte Hayes saying, checking the box, no, they're gonna opt out, and they meet. And we got a no return or return to sender from Kurt Billings.
Oh, really?
He just refused.
He refused the letter.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so that's 1, 2, 3. That's 4. And the 5th is Douglas. The one right over here. Linda's in Douglas, the one over here.
Yeah, way at the end, yeah,
Okay.
by Flatiron.
Any word on them?
I don't believe so, no.
So we sent a letter to.
I think they said they needed more information,
They did, hey.
but they have my phone number and email and they haven't contacted me.
Do we have their info? I mean, I'm happy to reach out to them. But although you could certainly answer almost any question they might have.
You know, like that Hummel question was like very specific that I wouldn't have had an answer to, but
Yeah,
I don't know if theirs were probably more general.
right.
We sent 7 of those letters out.
So we're still waiting on 3 of them.
Billings, Sequel, who can opt out, he qualifies, because he has a permit,
Oh, that's the one.
yeah. Davis, that sent one back.
Oh, Davis is right here.
Yeah,
He's-
Davis and Hummel,
Oh, Hummel's right there.
yeah, both of them are. And Phil Teal. And that's Kenneth and Patricia Williams, who have not responded to anything, but they picked up their certified letter. Those were the ones that got the letter.
So it was our understanding we're gonna stop mailings as far as easements and other things to the ones that we've heard back from, right? That have checked.
So we had final commitment of no, 5 people. And we had final commitment unknown, 2 people.
Meaning Billings.
Probably Billings and Williams.
So we're missing, who am I missing? I have,
Well, I don't know why Douglas didn't get a letter.
they didn't get a letter? Can we send them a letter?
Alex is the one that put it together.
Peter, would you mind checking with Alex, and to see if that Douglas got a letter?
Yeah, I'm making a note here. I'll check with them tomorrow.
So just so we're on the same page, so I have Laporte and Hayes, that's one property. Davis. Hummel, we haven't gotten an official report yet, but we have that email exchange. Kurt Billings is an unknown. Douglas, that we just discussed, didn't get a letter. And Williams.
Hasn't responded.
Hasn't responded. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. Who's number 7? You said Wall? 2. Oh, Wall.
Teal,
Oh, Teal.
Phil Teal.
And what was theirs?
he, on here, in the very beginning, he was a yes, but now he's a no.
Then he
It
did,
says he does not meet opt-out criteria, leach field and tank within 500-year floodplain.
he's not, but he checked, he responded back with opt-out, but he doesn't meet.
He didn't respond to the last letter.
So we have 3 non-responses then. The only reason I'm doing this is because in our meeting that we had, so we were deciding of who do we continue to send mailings to, especially for the easements. And I think we collectively decided we're gonna continue mailing the people we haven't heard back from, but not mail the people that have checked off, opt out, whether they meet or they don't meet, right?
I mean, I don't know why. He would continue to mail them something.
But the people we haven't heard back from, but when,
If they picked up a certified letter, they've read it.
okay, so we should send it to any of
You
them.
don't know, you're gonna get a response from them. Unless you, like Mr. Billings, we're gonna just have to hand him his letter tomorrow night. Whether he'll respond or not, he'll probably swear at me, but whatever.
For what it's worth, in the notes I took about outreach, I had written down that there would be some direct outreach to folks that did not respond. And then the final notice to people that opt out and meet the criteria.
It certainly sounds like we should reach out to Douglas and Teal. Obviously, Kurt knows what's going on. Williams, that's the out-of-state, the person that has the blue.
No, they live in Hardwick. It's a building they got pretty flooded. I don't know why they continue to pay taxes on it and. You know, they should just sell it to someone and have wastewater. Someone could. Used to be a nice little manufacturing place. They made jams and jellies in there.
So is Teal approachable?
Mhm.
Bradley? Bradley and I did some door knocking, a month or so ago.
I think it went quite well.
We went for a while, but we also, the political climate has changed recently, so I don't want to get killed either. If people are not wanting to hook up. Douglas, I spoke to this like son-in-law.
Right, who you need to talk to is Marcia.
Yeah.
Who owns it. Scott is dead. And Marcia's the mother and she's the owner.
The house we talked, just down the way.
Yeah.
So you probably.
So we still haven't heard back from them?
We talked to the daughter and the son-in-law.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a contact with Williams?
No, we
How do we reach it? How do we reach them?
know nothing about them. They have a post office box in Hardwick. We weren't even sure they were even getting their mail. I think it came back once, but they signed for it.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes you just have to let it go and.
Okay. So I mean, at least, so we're down to 3, 4, well, counting Kurt, 4 people, 4 households that we don't know what they want to do. That's pretty good out of
Pretty good, yeah.
45 or whatever. And I'm confused as to our total number after the FEMA buyouts. We were at 50 commercial and residential. Now is that correct? And we're down to 45 or so, 40, low 40s maybe.
I don't actually know. I'll have to get back to you on where we landed. We definitely have that information. I just don't have it right in front of me. I wanted to say it was a little less than that.
Yeah, I was thinking more like 35.
Yeah, 38 I had in my head.
But once you build it, you never know what's gonna happen,
Right. Well, and like we talked about last month with MSI wanting additional flows, that will help a lot at the commercial rate.
And Grimes, did he officially request more capacity?
I think Grimes wanted to, no, he didn't request any more additional capacity, but I think he wanted one stub for the farmhouse and one connection for the other house that's getting lived in.
Right, and then so that discussion that we had about the folks that wanted a stub for an undeveloped property, we probably need to formalize that in the letter to say that that we can put a stub in, put in a septic tank.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But then you're gonna have to pay as soon as it's hooked up, whether or not your building is built, is what we decided, right?
Well, there's two
Well,
scenarios. There's a stub with no tanks, which would be free.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's a stub with tanks, which they would have to start paying for immediately
Even if
when everyone else has to.
Even if
The
it's up,
town wants a stub at every one of their properties, that's what the select board wanted.
right,
Whether they'll ever develop it, I mean, they don't want a tank now, but they want a stub.
so we need to find out from Grimes and from, who's next to Grimes on 15.
They from,
Tetra, whether she wants, I have a sense she's probably just gonna want the stub and not the tanks. She has 3 parcels,
Yeah, we,
so at least
I
those 2
can't
we should,
remember off the top of my head, but we know what she wants. I think she just wanted the stubs.
just the stubs.
Yeah.
And then Bruce too. We have to figure out what he wants. So those are the 3
yeah,
parcels.
At last meeting, I had offered to chat with Bruce to make sure we knew what he wanted, and that hasn't happened yet. But I
So
can
well,
do
he's
that.
moving a tiny house in there, I think the problem with zoning, he said he was gonna build a house, but. He's in the floodplain, I don't know if our zoning will let him.
Hmm.
He shouldn't have taken his house down.
I agree with you, Linda.
Someone gave us some bad advice.
Yeah.
We got someone?
It's Keith.
So do we need to formalize that in letters, or can those take place, just conversations, Peter, you thinking of that?
I think it would make sense to send everyone a letter in those cases so they understand the distinction between the 2 options.
So just those 3 properties that we discussed.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna want to take a crack at that letter, or we should write that letter?
Who are we sending him to?
Tatro, Grimes, and Wheeler,
Doug, oh, and about the tanks and.
about the stubs and or tanks, and I think it would be good to have that. Should we do certified letters? Yeah. Just so they know, say, hook up the tank now for free, but then you're gonna have to start paying for it when we hook up the rest of the system. Or just the stub. But even if we put in the stub and the tank for free, and the system is not built until after construction of the system, they're still gonna have to pay to run it from the tank to the house.
Correct. Yep.
But I think we should be explicit.
Yeah,
with
that's a good
that.
point. We should explain that too, that doesn't, like any construction that happens afterwards is going to be on them.
Right. Like the Grimes place, at least he knows where that house is and where the line comes out, so he could technically hook right into the house, even if the house is in pretty rough shape. It needs a complete renovation.
Correct. Yep. And I mean, the other option, I guess, would be, I mean, generally the tank is pretty close to the building, but we could give somebody a stub from the tank. That probably doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna take that off the table.
Okay, so we need to reach out to Douglas, Williams, and Teal. And we're gonna send letters to Tatro, Grimes, and Wheeler. I don't mind taking a first crack at Douglas, because I spoke with the daughter and son-in-law. I don't know how to get a hold of Williams, and I don't know Teal. Anybody gonna volunteer for that? Or have any thoughts on what we do?
Well, do we have a first name for Williams?
Kenneth and Patricia, but I only have a post office box. I have no idea where they live. Or,
And Teal, what's Teal's first name?
Phil, he's not here a lot of the time.
All right, well, how about we figure out on our end, Douglas, Williams, and Teal, Peter, and if you wouldn't mind sending the certified letters to Tatro, Grimes, and Wheeler.
Sure.
Two different baskets of options here, but or directions where we're gonna go here.
Okay.
Do you want to go for another walk?
Sure.
Alan, you're welcome too.
Don't mind just trying to let people know what's up.
All right, you got anything else, Peter? We're up to speed on, oh, so we should probably, maybe, to give Peter a little break. Tori and Linda, do you want to mind updating the group on our meeting and the easement meeting with our lawyer and kind of the next steps? I know, Tori, you took the next step notes from that meeting.
Sure. So we met with the town attorney to discuss the process with putting together draft easements for all the property owners with the town and Stone. The next steps after that meeting were to have a title search completed, which Linda and Belinda were gonna work on, including determining potential sources of any mortgages. And then the goal was to have drafts of the deeds based on the title searches at the end of this month and begin mailing them to property owners, including an option for the town attorney to have limited power of attorney for property owners that were interested in that option, and then have a public meeting at the next meeting, the next wastewater committee meeting in July to discuss and review this with the property owners.
Just on that point, I think it's be good to clarify that the town attorney said that they have to get letters from the banks approving the easement. So if anybody has a mortgage in the village, one thought was to put the onus on the landowner to get a letter from their bank to essentially approve the easement. That's my understanding of, but our town lawyer agreed to do that for folks as part of this process if they wanted, so that's the power of attorney that Tori's talking about.
right, so I have been working with David. I've been sending him batches of the deeds he wants, the deeds looking to see if they have a mortgage or not, if the mortgage has been discharged or whatever. Not saying I'm a lawyer though. But anyway, he has sent me, he sent me a cover letter that he's gonna be sending out to everyone when he sends the deed. What a partial discharge of mortgage would look like, that gets sent to the mortgage company. They're just, they're not discharging the mortgage, they're just releasing, the lien to allow this to be on, of the easement on there. He also created, a power of attorney form for them if he needs to represent them, with the bank or something. And he also sent a form for information for property transfer returns, because one of the things is that you have to get a social security number from the owner of the land to file the property transfer form, so it's right there. And he has explained all this in the cover letter that he will send out. He's hoping that the wastewater committee will set aside a meeting date for people to come if they have questions, or if Belinda can be here to notarize a lot of this information. He's gonna send them all out at once when they're done. He thinks it's too chaotic if, you know, a neighbor gets one and then he talks, and he, where's mine? I didn't get anything. A lot of that. So if we could set up an evening. He's willing to come too if there's questions from the property owners. So we're continuing to work on them. We'd have to wait until all the deeds are done.
We're thinking the
I don't know.
July meeting or the August meeting, but roughly before all that's done and letters go out.
So meeting, depends on Pete, is Peter still there? I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
still
Peter's,
here.
Peter's gotta send the map for each one of these properties to him too.
What map?
Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking July could happen, but there's probably gonna be a lot of those little pieces that need to come together.
So each property has to have a map showing where we are asking for the easement, for them to sign off on.
So realistically, Peter, it sounds like not July, it sounds like August.
I think probably, yeah.
I think I suggested at the last meeting, should we piggyback it onto our normal wastewater meeting?
I think that's a pretty good idea, yeah.
And would David need to be here, Linda, or just Belinda?
David doesn't need to be here, but he's willing to be here, to answer if property owners have questions. Belinda will need to notarize. I'm not gonna pay David.
Maybe we could do,
Yes, to notarize, sit here and notarize.
maybe we could do like a 5 to 6 o'clock normal wastewater meeting and then have open it up at 6 o'clock for the public. So,
So this would be August 19th.
if it's our normal schedule, yeah.
Yeah.
So should we all shoot for that? And I just want to make sure we give, this is going to be a lot for folks to process, and it's going to be a big mailing, and they're going to have a lot of questions, probably even before that meeting. And, you know, we can handle the rough questions, the preliminary questions, but if they want to get into the minutia, we have to figure out who the best person to answer that is without having have David answer all these questions. So I don't know how we want to screen those questions when we send those letters out. Like who,
Well, he did a really nice letter. I'll pass it around.
but who should they, who is he going to say to contact if they have questions?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
I believe so.
okay, good.
Does he? Also, He has done up the deed. I worked with the school board, on the easement for the school. David and Sean is the name of the school board's attorney, have come up with the easement deed for permanent and temporary sewer construction and maintenance. He wants to know if it's okay.
I haven't chimed in and responded to him, but I didn't give it a super thorough read, but I thought it was quite good. Thought it kind of was simple, but covered everything that needed to be in there.
Mhm.
So a question, Peter, but, so how much square footage are we talking about for each easement? I know it would be different for each property, but if we're going from the road 25 feet, 50 feet to the house, are we just talking about that distance plus a certain width? In that, is that what we're talking about for the
You
easement?
need the driveway to get in. And then that's the temporary easement, and then you need the construction easement for where the tank is and where it goes to the house.
Right. And access to the house for electrical. And our plans, we've drafted a few that we've worked with David on that kind of show. It's, I think it's maybe a 10-foot wide permanent swath for the sewer line and 10 feet around the septic tank. And then for the actual construction, I think we have a wider swath, maybe 20 feet in all directions. And then, like Linda said, we included the driveway, so we have access to the property.
And regarding the access to the house, I'm hoping it'll be clear. People are going to ask us, like, we will give a certain amount of hours notice to access the, permission, and, it's not, we're going to just walk in your house and fix this. I know that's obvious, but yeah.
Yeah, it's, it's worded more general than that, but, certainly it's not written such that there's just free carte blanche to go into their house or anything like that. There's some sort of language about coordinating with them.
So it's that 10 foot from the tank out and the line out for construction and maintenance, and then access to the driveway just for access, right?
Well, there's a permanent for easement and upgrades maybe, but then there's a wider construction width that goes around. Just because to get your equipment in there and actually do the work, you need some more room, some staging area to be able to stockpile soil and that sort of thing.
Is that just for the initial construction or for maintenance too?
Just for the initial.
See, David, we talked about having David put it on one piece of paper, seeing the font is pretty small.
Well, it is actually 2 pages,
It is 2 pages.
but all it is his signature.
Yeah, can we get it on 1 page?
I don't know.
I mean, I think he just has to like go up a line above the date. It'd be good to just have it on 1 page.
Or front and back, I mean.
And that's coming with some attachments with the map, and what else is coming with this?
The easement, the easement deed, maybe depending on whether they have whether I send them a thing for the mortgage, not everyone has a mortgage. Then you might send them some of these other forms.
We're gonna get a lot of questions on this. I just want to make sure we're ready to handle these questions.
I am, so you can direct them to me if you want, just because I have the background with deeds.
So either to you initially and then potentially to David.
Yeah.
Anything else on the easement?
Just, I wondered about this school one. I mean, who decides? I mean, the two lawyers decided it was okay.
Yeah.
Do I
I
then
thought-
just bring it to the select board or, this one is just, this one is just signed by the town.
Yeah, you should probably bring it to the select board. I think that's a good
No.
idea.
No, it says the authorized agent of the Wolcott School District.
Should it go to the school board or OSSU?
That was my understanding, was that we were gonna present it to the school board probably at our August meeting along with the rest of our presentation.
Okay. Well, probably a good thing we're waiting till August, then we can get it all in there, everything on one meeting.
That's kind of what I started thinking after the fact, as it was all coming together. I thought it probably worked out well that way. Just have one meeting where we kind of go through everything. Hopefully they're in agreement and we just get through it.
So it talks about in this thing, as more particularly shown on a plan entitled blah, 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 and recorded in map slide of the Wolcott land records, the easement. So is there gonna be a easement map? Right.
Yeah. We'll prepare one for that as well.
So I'll just,
You're thinking the deed, search will be done towards the end of this month, Linda, and then Peter has to do the maps.
yeah, he can be working on
We
the
can be
maps
doing that.
without me.
Yeah, we can be working on that.
Just want to make sure we give folks enough time to process the letter, to ask questions. I don't think they're gonna want to get their lawyers involved, but they might be.
But we don't want them to lose them on their kitchen table either.
Right.
I think 2 weeks is plenty, or it gets lost.
So we think we'll send this out in early July?
No,
No,
early August.
early August. Oh, say 2 weeks to our meeting date. So 2 weeks ahead of that. That'll be the deadline for them to respond.
I don't think there's many people in the village that would want to pay money to take them to their lawyer. They might, but
We have August 1st is a Friday and or we can do it like August 5th is 2 weeks before our meeting. So that would be the respond by date, August 5th.
oh, they don't respond. What do you mean? This is when you want to send them out? They're all being sent out at once.
Right, but we're not asking, is this okay, or as far as the easement, we're not getting any feedback from the landowners?
No, we're telling you, this is what we need.
So you just really need, the only thing you really need to know is if they want the power of attorney, right?
All I really need is for them to sign the easement.
That's what I mean, so we need a signature. That's what I'm saying. We need a signature from the landowner by August 5th. It should be before our meeting, well before our meeting though.
Then why are they coming to our meeting if they've already signed it?
No, for the people, if we're giving them to August 5th, so we know ahead of our meeting who we have signatures from and who we don't have signatures from. And who might come to the, even if then who's coming to the meeting. Are we gonna want some tally on our August 19th meeting?
The whole idea is for them to come with those
Yeah.
deeds at that point.
Yeah, it was kind of my understanding, Linda, was just more,
You think they're gonna come in person even if they don't have any questions?
if they, either they could return it beforehand and I mean, I don't know if we have to tally before that night, but then if they had questions, we're here and available for them to come and bring it with them.
It's like an open house. They
Yeah,
can come from 6 to 7.
No,
If they have questions and they need it notarized because they can't get to the town clerk's office before because they work at night or something.
as long as we're clear that they can come in here, they don't just have to come that one night if they can't make it for some reason.
Right, I think David will have to put it in his Do you have that cover letter already? Yeah, you set that date and.
Or they can come in before that, Belinda, and have it notarized with Belinda. Other thoughts, discussion on the easement? Anything else, Peter, on your end?
I don't think so.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Yeah,
Busy on your end.
lots to do, lots of moving pieces.
Um,
Done a great job, Peter.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you for
that.
your service.
You're welcome.
Linda, you want to share the news?
Well, it's not really that exciting, other than, we filed last year for the, congressional district spending and they nominated us and, but then, of course, our president, didn't award any, so we reapplied. And Senator Welch will nominate us again, but not holding my breath.
Don't sound so excited, Linda.
She started winning.
I'm tired tonight, that's all.
So for folks that don't know or remember, Linda's talking about $1 million congressionally designated award for our wastewater project. That's, I guess, a reserve at this point. It would be a long shot, I guess, given the current budget situation in the federal government. Tori, any updates for Linda? Any other grant updates on the manhole grant or anything else? Any other grant updates?
The manhole grant is my only other update. The decorative manhole covering design project was accepted to submit a full grant proposal or grant application and project proposal. That got submitted last night, so award would be provided by the end of August. So we'll see.
Great.
And then we might do some local artist competition or something. Is that what we're thinking? Get the community involved?
Yeah, hiring a local artist to help with the design work and a local contest and competition to submit ideas for the design.
Cool. And how are we doing on our other grants in general? Reporting and spending and that stuff. We in good shape?
Finally got paid for clean water today. They owed us about $70,000.
That's great to hear. I know it was a headache.
Yeah, I think we have about 20,000 left in it.
Is it invoice, you have to submit invoices and then you.
Yeah, but I mean, we had submitted them quite a while ago.
And this is through DEC?
No, it's through the bond bank, isn't it?
Well, DEC has to approve the reimbursement, right?
Probably.
Anything else on grants? On the transition to, so on the outreach side, I know we discussed Doing a little outreach as we were going to send the easements out. So I think that's our next maybe front porch forum post. So when we get the deed searches done, we get the maps done, and we're about to send out those letters, maybe we'll do a heads up, and then we can plug our August meeting. So I think that would be a good time to do another public push, and then maybe just a general update of where we are in the project, and as far as the percent design, the permitting, and I don't know what else, whatever else we want to cover.
Makes sense to me. Yep.
Our barbecue is this year on August 22nd.
Oh.
The board wanted to move it up. So I don't know if you had any interest in having any information there or not.
This is totally separate from the barbecue this Friday.
Yeah, this is the village trust. The select board do the other barbecue. That's, yeah.
So maybe doing a table like we did last year.
If you're interested, let me know. Yeah,
I don't know if I'll be in town, but
again, you won't be.
I was there last time.
Oh,
I won't be at our next Wastewater meeting though. In July, I'll be in Maine. If someone would like,
I will be available at Zoom, but I'll be here physically.
July.
I don't know if that affects.
we just have it at different time.
I don't know, I'll be gone in July. I'm doing that too.
Okay.
I mean, I can still get on in Zoom, right? It's okay.
Yeah. If we can get Bruce, you'd have a quorum.
Yeah.
Or you guys, you have a quorum now, we'd have three. If it's three of you guys.
Okay, well, I've lost.
And hopefully Bruce.
Yeah.
I think sometimes Bruce says he forgets, but we should, even if I sent the agenda out last week, I think he needs like a later reminder.
Yeah, and I think he's got a big project for Friday night. He's doing pictures and
Oh, he's running.
video
Okay.
that he's been working on. Probably tuned into that.
So you guys, everybody's okay. So we're talking about July 15th, that I will not be here, and if someone can run that meeting. I'm glad our easement meeting, open house got pushed out for August. Any other business? Did folks here and on Zoom land, I know Tori and Bradley and I are aware, but everyone was aware that Linda got an award at Lemoyle Regional Planning Commission meeting.
Tori nominated me.
I know, well. Tori and
I
I
was not
tried,
aware of this.
Tori and I tried to get you in last year,
Oh.
yeah. No, second time's a charm.
Congratulations, Linda.
Community, what was it, Community Service Volunteer of the Year, or something like that? For all of her good work. Makes Linda blush.
Caleb had a scroll out like this big of all the things you do for Wolcott.
Wolcott was well represented at the meeting. Crashed the party. It was good eats too. Okay, so we're all set
Yeah,
and a little bit early tonight, so folks can enjoy the summer evening. Not quite summer, almost summer. All right, we are officially adjourned. Thank you.
thank you.
Night.
Right there. Sorry. Oh, getting out early.
Oh, Keith's got his hand up. You got a question?
Is he still on?
Yeah.
You had a question, Keith?
Yes, I do. Same question I've asked in the past when I've listened in on your meetings, and I don't feel like I've ever really gotten a definitive answer.
What's the question, Keith?
The question is, has it been determined that there is no danger to the water system for the school or the neighbors up there?
Well, Keith, you came in late to the meeting, but we spent the first part of the meeting discussing that very topic. And the Stone Environmental, Peter Lazarchuk, who he just left the meeting. He's our engineer at Stone Environmental. And they're doing all sorts of tests at the school as we speak, and they're going to do some more tests of the existing conditions there, deep well borings, to find out what the existing conditions are there.
Yeah, he's working with a state geologist. They are.
Yes, and it's being overseen by the state of Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. Are overseeing every step in this process.
Okay, my opinion is that you're putting the cart before the horse if you're designing the system and you don't know whether it's going to affect the water, the drinking water, and that. But and I've said this before, and I keep getting the answer. We have somebody working on it. I would think that if you were this far into designing this and putting the septic up there, that somebody would have known ahead of time that there was no danger to this water system. But
no one is saying there's any danger to the water system, Keith. They're doing the deep borings to determine the depth of what Peter discussed before you got on the call. The depth to bedrock, the depth of the sand, the depth of the till, in relation to the well, so that that can all be incorporated into the design. There's no threat to water quality. All of that information helps them with the design.
okay, I've asked the question before, and it's always been, well, we have somebody looking into it. But I would think before you'd gotten to the point of, we're going to put a system up there, that they would have known that there was no danger to the water system and the wells in that area. But
I think
that's my thoughts on it.
Well, they're getting all this information so it can be designed that it doesn't impact any water quality, but they need that information first.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, thank you.